So, first video we'll do. It's clocking
When
to
you're
that
a
I'm standing
kid,
on
you start
business.
to just feel like, should I be embarrassed by my culture? Should I be embarrassed by my background and all
Ooh,
these things? And so it's very hard.
that was really heavy. Hold on. Faouzia, Canada's pop star, draws on her Moroccan roots for crossover sounds. Amplify her podcast. Now this is from 2 years ago. That first line was really heavy. Holy cow! Hold on.
But be embarrassed by my when you're a kid, you start to just feel like, should I be embarrassed by my culture? Should I be embarrassed by my background and all these things? And so it's very hard. But as you grow older, you're just gonna be like, I do not care. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care at all what you think.
Okay.
Laura Quiñones, and you're listening to Amplify Her, a new podcast charting in women artists in the first four episodes, and this episode when she was just 15. While she was still in high school, influential EDM producer David
Bet.
Guetta invited her to feature on his. Faouzia is proud of her roots and has begun to incorporate Middle Eastern influences into her pop anthems. She told us about the bullying she had to overcome as a child from Arab heritage in her small town school, the family love and support that sustains her, and her love for Moroccan music and culture.
When I was very, very young, like literally 5, 6, 7, I wish that I was different. Like I would be like, I wish I had blonde hair and I wish I had blue eyes and I wish that I could be like all the other girls. And then something clicked in me when I was still very young and I was like, even when people try to act like other people, you can sense that it's not authentic. When people are truly being real, you feel it and people gravitate towards that. And so I learned to accept myself and be myself at a very young age.
Yo, to hop on that one point when she was talking about like being really young and wishing she had blonde hair and blue eyes, that was a really interesting thing. That was a really interesting thing because for I mean obviously I have a significantly darker complexion than her. Um, I'm literally referred to as black slash African American. So I thought that was more of a thing for people with, my type of skin tone. Not she kind of loosely, like from a distance, would fall into the realm of like white passing, so to speak. But as a young kid, that culture and the way you were raised sets you apart, especially when you're around other kids, because you start saying stuff and you don't realize kids don't know how to hold stuff back and they don't know really how to observe really early on because they're in that discovery phase of life. So they're trying to understand everything that's going on. And it's like really, really, really interesting. You said, yeah, oh, Arab, no, Muslim, yeah. That's why I don't usually talk about that side of things for me. I mean, the joke that I always run is usually I don't think I hide it, but for a lot of people, I just don't bring it up in conversation because I know they're like, here's my thought process on religion as a whole, right? No matter what religion you believe in, right? I don't care if you believe in a sea turtle. I don't care if you worship a sea turtle, dude. As long as you choose to be a good person, I will never fault you for whatever religion you follow, whatever process that you use. As long as you are true to yourself and you're true to that religion, right? As long as you stand behind your values 110%. There's a lot of people that will say they abide by certain rules and then they don't, they just don't, right? They're a little bit hypocritical. If you're hypocritical and you know you're hypocritical and you're honest about it, I have no issue. But it's when we have a conversation and you don't realize the hypocrisy in your thought process and what you just said out of your mouth. That's the part that really irks me about some people. Um, that's that just to loosely toss a blanket over it. If the shoe fits for them, they'll definitely wear it. They'll let me know. Um, but the joke I used to always say once somebody would find out, they'd be like, "You're Muslim?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, man. That's why I don't usually go to people's houses, or that's why people don't usually invite me to their houses because they're afraid. A black Muslim, it's like they don't know if I'm gonna rob them or blow their house up." And usually it depends on who I say it to. Sometimes I have to like smile and chuckle when I say it so they know I'm joking. Oh yeah. 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 Um it's funny because when I do that, then they're like, oh my gosh, what? They're like, oh my gosh. And they realize they can still make certain jokes. Cause like I say, I love dark humor, right? We were talking about this yesterday. I love dark humor. But sometimes, I gotta bridge a couple gaps and put people on the same page so that it kind of evens out. Yeah. I mean, how do I put it? Like I said, for me, religion is an ends to a means. I've realized in some ways, religion is used to control people more than anything else. And it creates like a boundary that most regular people, so to speak, air quotes, of course, don't step outside of those bounds, which can be really good for society as a whole. But it can lead to a lot of, infighting because you have some people that say, uh, you know, I this person isn't Christian enough. This person isn't really Muslim. This person isn't really Hindu. Like when you start grading religion, you've lost the plot, right? Either they are, or they're not. In my personal, my personal belief system. Good morning, Zaku. I was wondering where you was gonna pop it. I saw you in the chat. I was waiting for you to pop it as say something. How you doing this morning? And exactly right. So my thought process is quite simply be upfront and honest about whatever you are, if necessary. You don't need to go out and start pandering. You don't need to go out there and just throw your religion in everybody's face. Nobody needs you to do that, right? Either you're a good person or you're not. Either you choose to be a good person or you choose not to. Some people are bad people by accident and they don't realize it, right? That happens too. But you need to be conscious of yourself. You can only control what you do with your body autonomously. With that being said, like I said, I don't care if you believe in a goldfish. I don't care if you believe in a sea turtle. As long as you choose to be a good person, you stick to your values 100% of the time, you will never have an issue with me, right? And there's some conversations that we won't broach too heavily because I don't want to step on anybody's toes and be like, oh well, yeah, because I had one coach and his thought process was he's like, I'm gonna convert you one day. And it was the funniest thing to me. I was like, boss, that's not gonna happen. I love it though, but he was like super super Christian. Granted, he had like tattoo sleeves. It was like of biblical scripture and stuff like that. And I found it really cool. I found him really fascinating. He was also a guy that, you know, I'm towing some lines here, and this isn't super Faouzia specific, obviously. He was a white dude with dreads, and I had no issue with it. I'm not one of those policing hairstyles things. I don't like when people that kind of look like me start doing that. It's kind of like, how does one own a hairstyle? I understand like if somebody looks good with a hairstyle, let them wear the hairstyle. If somebody you can't own polyester type shirts. You know what I'm saying? You can't control that sort of stuff. And it's not as if they're sitting there using it as a means to get at other people or to insult other people. If that's the case, that's a whole different vein. But if they get a hairstyle because they love the hairstyle and they just really wanted to get it, to me, that falls in the same vein as somebody getting a car because they saw a celebrity had that car and they just look so cool in it. Or they get a suit. Or like right now, how quarter zips are a really big thing on social media. Matcha and quarter zips, you know what I'm saying? They don't get it because they're trying to be disrespectful to people that naturally just always buy quarter zips and wear as business casual, business attire. They just like quarter zips. They want to try a quarter zip on. If somebody wants to get braids, let them get braids. And for him, like I was always willing to respect his religion because he never once disrespected mine. Exactly, right? I'm all over the place. It was like he was always respectful of my religion. So I didn't have to worry about ever stepping on his toes. To the fact that like when I would fast in school, a lot of people didn't know I was fasting. They just thought I didn't care to eat. Because I don't really eat at school to begin with. So it didn't really catch on. There was some people that really knew me. They were like, yo, you not eating today? Or like they might try to give me something. I'd be like, I can't eat it right now. And they'd be like, oh, why can't you eat? And then I explained it to them. They're like, oh, okay. And I always appreciated like that educational experience. So when she brought up that part about like wanting to go, oh, wait, where are we? Epstein did it before it was cool. Yo. I mean, when, what you call it? Ooh, what you said, Zaku? You said, I'm one of the mindset that if you need I see where we're going with this before you even finish this line. That if you need the threat of eternal punishment or eternal reward to be a good person, are you really a good person to begin with, regardless of religious beliefs? That is a bar. If God is the only reason that you choose to be a good person, you're not a good person. And while, You said, I respect all religions and find them beautifully fascinating, but I myself am not a really religious person. If anything, I would lean towards Buddhism. I love that. I love that a lot. And like I said, you should choose to be a good person, right? If I told you, here's a test that I do with some of my guy friends, and it really determines whether they can be my guy, like one of my inner circle people, or if you're somebody that I have to associate with because of work or school. If I locked you in a room with the baddest girl alive, I'm talking your 10 out of 10, not the worldly 10 out of 10. Whoever pops into your head is a 10 out of 10. I lock you in the room. I say nobody will ever hear what happens. Nobody will know what happens. And whatever happens in this room, you will never get in trouble. What would you do? There is a right and a wrong answer. Now, some people, there's the joke. There's the joking answer, right? But if you don't immediately follow up that joke with the correct answer, hey, it's been cool knowing you. I'm a dip, right? Because what will happen eventually is you're going to say something in a serious context that toes that line, and I don't toe that line, right? That's my thing. You always choose to be a good person. A good person cannot be somebody who, how do I explain this? A good person, what was the phrasing that he used? It was Jordan Peterson. He was popping a minute ago, not anymore. But he said he quoted somebody, and he said, "Somebody who is harmless cannot be a good person. You are a good person when you are capable of causing harm and choose not to. It is the restraint that allows you to be that." And I resonated with that very heavily because my thought process has always been, as long as you're capable of doing something bad to me or somebody that I care about, you choosing to obviously step out of your comfort zone and always look around and take care of the people in your circles tells me more about you as a person than what your religion is. I don't care. Granted, there's only one thing that you should not, that I don't agree with, but for the most part, you should always, your religion will never be a topic of conversation. I'll be like, hey, what are you? Right? I'm more likely to ask you what your favorite sport is than that. Now sometimes if you have a certain habit and it kind of in the back of my head triggers an ancient memory of something else, I'll be like, oh yeah, do you happen to be such and such? I noticed that you do XYZ. And usually if they happen to be, I ask them for more information because I want to know, right? I may not convert, but I still want to understand you. You don't have to agree with anything anybody says. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with your parents. You don't have to agree with your best friends. But you should always seek to understand, because that allows you to properly maneuver around the world and around other people and be considerate of others, because we want them to be considerate of us. It's I don't know. I kind of danced around that, but Faouzia talking about wishing that she was like blonde haired and blue eyed. I'm not going to lie. I used to wish that we could live in a video game like Kingdom Hearts era. I didn't necessarily want to be white, but it was like the thought of having blue or gray eyes was just so cool to me. I was like, you guys get to have blue eyes? It wasn't like, oh man, my eyes are lame. It was just like, oh my gosh, your eyes are so cool. And like when you're really young, like kids that don't have super curly hair like I have, they want to feel your hair. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, my parents told me not to do it. I'd be lying if I didn't say, if you wash your hands, you could touch my hair. Because I was definitely one of those kids, right? But I was like, they didn't mean any harm. They was just like, they can't grow this type of hair. So of course they would be fascinated with it. They're the same age as me. We're first graders. We're 6 years old. We can barely string together sentences with more than 5 words, right? We're still learning manners and stuff. Well, I wasn't, but some of them were. So I mean, if they wanted to have a conversation or like understand something, they're like, oh my gosh, your hair's so cool. Can I touch it? It was the request for permission. So I never really felt like I wanted to be white per se, but I always thought it was just so cool. Like they could do their hair would be straight and it would stay straight. I was like, yo, that's so fire. And they used to get like a little fade, and they would have what is, I'm trying to think of a character that had it. Not Dash from Mr. Incredible from the Incredibles, but like just the straight blonde hair where it kind of swoops up a little bit. I used to think that haircut was fire, dude. And I was like, it wasn't like, oh man, I wish I was white. It was just like, I wish I could try that on for a day. And at that point, later on, when I got older, I was like, you know what? It would be kind of cool to get like contacts just to see what it would look like, or to I started to understand why some people would get like lashes or would get their eyebrows filled in or would wear a different color wig or might dye their hair because you just want to try different things. And sometimes self-hate is a term that gets really thrown around a lot lately, and I don't think it fits the bill for a lot of people, but um sometimes it can. So the I'm sorry, we just sat there and dragged this out. The video is 15 minutes, and my recording already says we're at 15 minutes, even though we're 2 minutes in. I just been chopping it up and everything. But basically, when Faouzia brought that up about wanting to have blonde hair, blue eyes, it just triggered that past memory. And I guess being in America and being not the what is prototypically viewed as the privileged American male, uh, kind of gave me a little flashback. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just a random thought. Let's see. Oh, it was good, Martin. My fault. I didn't even peep that. He said, "I'm not a good person. If God doesn't exist, I would be searching like crazy to get in touch with the Illuminati right now." Yoshi, you're a fool. Still got to live with your decision, whether anyone knows about it or not. That's true. Wish I had green eyes. Dude, green eyes are cool. I saw a kid. Oh my gosh. I didn't take a picture of his eyes, but he has uh, like brown, like that really, really almond brown on the outside. And then it's green in the center, right there just before his pupil. And I saw it in the center. I was like, hold on, can you stand still for a second? I just want to look at your eye. He's one of those guys where he's just like, oh yeah. He thinks he tries to be like really cool. So he's like, oh, you want to see my eyes? I know everybody wants to see my eyes. You could look. And then he just like looks off to the side. And I was genuinely interested because I'd never seen it in person before. I had seen it in a couple science journals and stuff, but I'd never seen it in person. And I was like, yo, what? Or if you have like what's two tone? Heterochromia, I think is a technical term for it. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, two different colors. Yeah, heterochromia, I think. I thought those people. Some people think those people are weird. I think they're so cool. Now I could understand. Heterochromia. Yeah, I think, I think that's really cool. Some people don't, and I could understand like it might be like a little worrisome, but like back in the day, like before they had technology and stuff, I could understand how easily people used to be like, oh my gosh, this person's a deviant. This person might be, this person's an abomination. What? Because fear was just very rampant, and you had disease and all that sort of stuff. But nowadays, having that kind of bias just doesn't really make sense to me. Because if anything, that's really cool. That's honestly like, especially if you have like a crazy combination where it's like really obvious. I would think you have superpowers. Like if you sat there and you went around a kindergartner and you had heterochromia and you had like either a gray or a blue eye and then like a deep brown or an almond brown eye, the kid would think that the kid would like stare at you, and they would probably, if they know what contacts are, they'd ask you if you have contacts. You'd be like, no, my eyes are just like this. They might think you're an undercover superhero. Low key. Low key. They might think you low key, you're kind of smooth with it. You know what I'm saying? But kids can also, when it comes to kids, they're gonna say whatever comes to their mind immediately. So they could say literally anything about it. It really just matters. Or it really just comes down to what they have in their head. Learned to love myself and everything about me, yet I still wish sometimes I had such things like green eyes and long eyelashes. Oh, for sure. Me, it's hard to tell right here, but like I have a lot of forehead wrinkles. And also, like you could kind of see, like I have these lines right here, and it's been like that forever. I also have like a really massive head. It's hard to tell. I'm also really tall, which I'm thankful for. But sometimes I'm like, dang. Sometimes I imagine what I would look like without like facial wrinkles. I'd be like, yo, I might be like a 9. I might be like a 10. Like I might be a supermodel kind of thing. But then I'm like, it's all right. I'm kind of funny, so I guess that's a fair trade. Plus, I'm glad that I'm tall, so I'll take that, definitely 10 out of 10 times. But yeah, just gotta appreciate the little things. But I would say get them. Let's see. It really is a hey how lightly used, especially how it get dealt with it. Always wish I had straight hair. I do have blue eyes. It's something you mix Irish Danish with Cherokee. Ooh, that's spicy. What color is your hair, Zaku? You said you have blue eyes. Is your hair like deep brown or black, or is it like a more of an almond color, dark brown? And you have blue eyes? Like is it like a Bahamas ocean water blue or like deep blue? Cause that's a low key either way. That's a crazy combination. That's hard. Wow, blue and brown. That's tough. That's tough. Oh man. Oh, he said don't. You like David Bowie? As a kid, you probably hate it, but when you get older, you probably love it. Now, these kids these days are mean to bully you for it. They're all over. Ooh, steel gray blue. That's kind of hard. That's really hard. Young sister is born with heterochromia. She has one blue and one dark brown. Oh my goodness. See, I, the odds of running in of finding somebody that has it is very slim, but it's never zero. I know we just went all off the beaten path. You know what? Should I cut that? You know what? I'm gonna leave it because I think when we post this VOD on YouTube, as long as I don't think it should get blocked because this is a podcast one. Um, I think the people in the comment section, because lately one thing that I'm very appreciative of since I started dabbling in like with XG, Stray Kids, Faouzia, I've had a lot more ladies in the comments and a lot more open-minded guys. And when you have that, they're more likely to just comment and share their opinions in general. And nobody's ever been really disrespectful in any of the comment sections that I've seen so far. So, well, in my comment section, let me clarify that. I've seen some people in some other people's comment sections. But because of that, like there's a lot of times where I'll ask a question like when I'm like talking with you guys, and then I'll post the VOD, and then somebody in the comments will be like, "Yeah, as a matter of fact," and then they'll give me a whole paragraph explanation. I'm like, "Yo, you weren't there, but like we on the same page," and like I just think that's really cool. It's one of the things about live streaming that I actually really enjoy. I definitely jumped off the beaten path. Actually, has a lot of older fans too. Yes, yes, I did realize that. He's not. Is he in here today? He's not in here right now. I had one in here yesterday, and he was early. Mubarak, you were in here with me. I can't remember what his user was, but he was because it wasn't his name. It wasn't show and tell. It was weird, or it was not weird, but like different weird, not weird like ugh. But he was like early 50s, and I could not tell. I didn't know until he told me he was early 50s, because it's just like the fan bases are all over the place, and I love that. My Cherokee grandfather had a full head of hair, but it was kind of almost on the nappy side, very, very curly. And when he passed, he had a full head of hair all the way in his 80s. That's fire, bro. That's so awesome. Did the trait of not losing your hair, do you think it passed down all the way to you? Yeah, yesterday. You inherited it? Let's go. Oh man, I'm gonna be bald before you. I'm gonna be sitting there looking at you one day. I might just bald myself entirely. If my lineup goes back like Stephen A. Smith to where like where my headset is, I'm gonna just let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I don't even need a hair transplant. I'm just gonna, hopefully I could get a beard, like a full beard. I don't really have great genes for that. But it's a non-0% chance. So, we might be able to make it shake. Faouzia, my queen. On a side note, this is an amazing picture, by the way. You look lovely like always. I apologize. I ran on a tangent because what you thought it was so riveting to me. You said Capper and Roy kept naming anime. Yeah. There was one other. He ended up leaving. I think he left like right before you joined in. Yeah, that's the grandfather on my mother's side. On my dad's side, most of my uncles and dad are balding, but they're balding by my age. I'm 40. You're 40 now? Dude, I never would have guessed, bro. In my head, I think everybody's like in their 20s with me. And then sometimes you could tell like somebody's like a little bit younger, like that 1918 range, 18, 17. Like Mubarak, I thought Mubarak was 21, 21, 22. So he's 19 going on 20. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Just extra maturity on there. Haven't lost a single hair. Dad is extremely jealous. 3 weeks ago? Congratulations, brother. Oh man. And you still got a full head of hair? And blue eyes? Yo. Yo. This is a joke, but Zaku Daddy is really daddy for real, apparently, right? Full head of hair, 40 years old. He said steel grayish blue eyes. Sounds like a DILF to me, guys. I don't know about y'all. Yeah, sound like a smooth guy. Sound like a smooth gentleman to me. Nah, that's cool. That's fire. I'm happy for you. You could definitely got it.
That it's an advantage to be unique in yourself. Then you can just like create your own world and do you. Said I was too much, you're just not enough. I'm in my studio, and what's really funny is that I'm basically in an unfinished basement. One day I just came home, and my dad and my younger sister, they were like installing these soundproof blankets and like setting up the studio kind of as a surprise for me. And it's just like so cozy. It kind of looks scary. Whenever I do live Instagram lives down here, everyone's like, "Are you okay? Is anyone holding you hostage?" Feeling of solitude, like nobody's listening. There's no judgment. Nobody's upstairs hearing what I'm doing. Nothing. Like it's just me and my thoughts. And that's why I feel like I create the best, but only when I'm alone. Whenever I'm with other people, I like sunshine. I'd rip your heart right out of your chest. I love writing emotional music, and so it's a big part of me. Like I love sad stories, I love sad poetry. I gravitate towards writing that a lot. When I first started writing, I liked to be inspired by others and what other people had told me and their stories, but I feel like recently I've been writing a lot more from personal experience. I internalize stories, and whether I like it or not, somebody can even just be talking to me and then they'll be like, am I supposed to pretend that I love them? And then I'll be like, oh, pretend that I love them. Like, that's such a good concept. Like, and then I'll just like bank it. And it's literally just like a constant thing. It's like whether it's me, whether it's them, whether it's just a word, I'm just like storing it. Like, it's just like my brain is just always.
Every after each quote is kind of frying me low key because it makes me want to turn off the interview and just listen to her. That's what's getting me right now. But this interview is still insightful, nevertheless. Oh, what did let me see. What did Hisono mean? Oh, you're a sales rep for a tech company? Hey, majoring in sales and marketing my second year of college. Let's go. Mm, mm, mm. Let's see.
My parents are both from Morocco. My dad is from Casablanca and my mom is from Fez. They told me this story that it just dawned on both of them. They were like,
Oh.
we need to go to Canada. And then they were immediately on board.
Oh,
and it was.
As a matter of fact, yes, I do remember because we ended up watching. I think I was watching it. Was it the Trying American Food interview? It was one of those interviews, and they actually broke that down too. Thank you, Martin. Yes, now it makes sense. Martin, how old are you? Now that we're here, that's what I want to know next.
When I was born, my older sister was like 3-4 years old, so we were very young, and they just wanted more opportunities for us, education-wise, creativity-wise, everything. And so they decided to go to Canada, and it was just like a last-minute decision.
Congratulations, brother. I thought you were in our age range too. I thought in my head Martin was no older than 27. I kid you not. I guess I'm a terrible either the youth never left y'all, or I'm just bad at guessing ages.
And they were on a plane and they were gone. And they had to start from scratch. They had to start from zero. Like they had to restart their education, everything. It's just so inspiring to think.
You said a Japanese word for umbilical cord in the beginning of the video. They were laying a circle meant to represent their birth and to connect them as one entity. Ah, okay. Okay, now full circle moment locked in my brain.
That two individuals moved from Morocco to Winnipeg, which is it's like literally the polar opposite. And they pushed through and they started over and they became teachers. Like everything was just for the love of their kids and for us, which is priceless. And so now I'm like, I can't give up. I can do this, all these things because I saw my parents do it. And they in a small
Okay.
town called Carmen, and it's like literally 3,000 people. And then I went to school for the majority of my life in a French town, 30 minutes outside.
I'm touching that Faouzia part. What happened with their most recent IG post? Good news or bad news? Good news, I'm hoping. Yeah. Yeah. Kokona news. What happened with Kokona? Damn, so proud of him. Them. I saw pictures of Jurin and makeup by Chisa. Oh, okay. What does she go by now? Is it they them pronouns now? Oh, she didn't say. Mm, okay. I She seemed to be the most. I don't know if alternative is the correct phrasing for it, so don't shoot me. Um, but she seemed to be the one that had the most different is incorrect English. What is the phrase that I'm looking for? She just had a different aesthetic from most of them. So in my head, I kind of assumed already that it had happened. So it's actually really nice that she just like perfect timing now that I'm covering it that actually happened. But it's like it likely changed. Okay. Well, congratulations to her. Or th- them? They them. Congratulations to them. There we go. Sorry, it took me a second.
Of the small English town. So lots of moving
Yeah.
around. But I feel like I got to experience the Canadian culture in school. And I feel very blessed that I was able to experience both cultures. But it could feel a little isolating at times, especially when you're like in the middle of nowhere in the prairies. But that also had like a big hand in me being who I am in music because I spent so much time playing music because I had nothing else to do.
Loosely, real quick. Um, when she quoted the part about her parents just like grabbing everything, upping and moving to Canada, like obviously with them being immigrants and everything like that, immigrant feels like a slur these days, and it's ridiculous that it does. Um, my thought process is there bad immigrants? Yes, just like there's bad citizens of countries. I try to treat people as individually as I can, but I understand sometimes you do have to blanket certain things. And I understand if your personal experiences lead you to blanket certain things. But if you've never met a bad immigrant, if you've never had issues with people like that before, why are you treating them like they're subhuman? They they use cellular respiration just like you. They eat food just like you. They like beaches and mountains. They like good views. They like television. They like music just like you do. And in a similar vein, I have a lot of respect for like particularly in her case, like her parents to up and move like that and just get the job done. It's really hard to effectively it's hard to be a quote good immigrant. It's hard to be effective at that sort of thing. Even if you're a citizen of a country in today, there's not really a huge thriving nation. Like we're seeing some countries in Africa right now reclaim their minds and stuff like that under different military regimes. So they're I guess kind of emerging markets in a way, but they're a little too early because they're still trying to indulge in infrastructure and stuff like that with their extra earnings. But for the most part, we either have stagnant economies or we have failing economies. So people within the nations are having issues. So for you to come in and make something shake, I take my hat off to them because it is hard. It is incredibly hard, and nobody can convince me otherwise. I refuse to believe it. Superiority complex, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, if you're an immigrant, you kind of have to. It's kind of like when you transfer schools. You ever like, especially if you're like middle school, Lord forbid, high school. You transfer like after 10th grade, your 11th or 12th grade, and you just transfer to a new high school. You're you're a wild animal to everybody else. You have to very quickly establish yourself as either the really sporty kid, the really smart kid. You're really into something that everybody else is really into. Like you have to find a place quick, and you have to work really hard to prove that you fit in, or else you get ostracized. And that's also part of the reason why I'm just really like, and I could never. It's not even glaze at that point because it's just true. To me, glaze is like when you make unnecessary statements. It's not glaze because it's true, but like for her, both of her parents to come over, and then she is the result. Matter of fact, all three of her sisters, because they're all successful, because the one is one of her managers and the other one does photography for her. And from the interviews that I've seen and the videos that I've seen of them all together, they're all really nice people, really kind people at that. So for you to uproot your family, move them miles and miles away from everything they've known, in their young lives, they went through all these different issues as growing up and being girls at the same time, right? In a whole new country and being discriminated against by other children, sometimes even adults, and their parent. We can always look through the lens of Faouzia because we don't really talk about their parents, but or we don't really talk to their parents like that. But it's like, see, it's shock and awe. Yes, my goat, he's back. How you doing, brother? But it's like the opportunity to be able to see them take that step forward and against those odds, they could have very easily blamed their situation on everybody else and how everybody else was treating them. But the fact that they came through and now I think what this past month she hit 27 million listeners on Spotify streams, I think. I think so. Like, yeah. Like you can never say how impressive that is. It's phenomenal, honestly. You said, like Jack White said, Icky Thump, why don't you kick yourself out? You're number two on my first generation. Beside my grandfather, obviously, my mom and grandma are born in Ireland. My dad is Danish and Irish. His parents immigrated here from Denmark. So I guess I could say I'm the first generation on my mom's side and second generation on my dad's side. But none of my family besides the Cherokee side have been here more than two generations. Fair. Yeah. Honestly, America is in one of the riskiest places because when you go to most other countries, 70-80% of people look the same. Like they look roughly like the same style of person, right? America's one of the only countries where, what's good, Tap, where almost everybody is a different person. Now, you can go to some cities and you'll see like mostly white people, or you'll see, if you go to Atlanta, you'll see a crazy amount of black people. And sometimes you can find like little niche like Chinatowns or like, different Latino spots, like little pockets of communities. But as a whole, America has never been one thing since before Mr. Sir and his comrades came over with a lot of diseases that wipe people out, and then all that other sort of stuff. But that's not what we're not gonna jump in all that. Basically, we like immigrants. We like, and when I think immigrant, I never think criminal because to be honest with you, let me think. Now that I mention it, now that I have to really think on it, I've never met a bad immigrant. And by bad I mean criminally bad. I've met some irritating ones, yes, but I've never met like a bad one. Like objectively, like keep this person away from your kids, keep this person away from the park, keep this person away from sporting events. Like I've never met any of those people. Dare I say, I feel like they would live in constant fear of being sent somewhere else because they're trying to build a home for themselves. So why would they act out in a way that would get them either locked up or shipped to a place they don't want to be, dare I say, to a place they try to escape from? In hopes of creating a better life, not necessarily specifically for themselves, even for their family, more likely than anything. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. Hey, well, I'm glad you could join us. We just been chopping it up a lot.
And we would play Arabic music all the time, just like Egyptian music, Moroccan music, everything. And now, whenever I hear those songs, I'm like, turn it up. As I grew older, I just learned to appreciate it a lot more, and I want to incorporate it in my music a lot more. Starting to be in more rooms with more women, especially young women. Like for the first time in these 3.5, 4 years that I've been doing sessions with a bunch of writers, I worked with a 20-year-old girl. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the first time that I've worked with a girl my age as a writer. And especially with producers, I've worked with so few women producers. I'm like waiting for the day where there's like a really big female producer that breaks through as that like legendary producer. I'm waiting for it. I'm excited for it. When I lay in my bed at night, I think that like these male producers that are so amazing have been at it for like 20 plus years. And female producers that are just starting out have been doing it for 2 to 3 years. And so give it like another 10 to 15 years. And I think that these women will have caught up or exceeded these like standards that you have to be an amazing producer. And so I think with time, now that women are just diving into it a little more, we're gonna see more women producers in rooms. I just think that it's female artists in the world and the biggest male artists in the world. The female artists, it's almost ridiculous how scrutinized they are in the way that they go to the grocery store and their hair is like slightly out of place. It's like, look at her, like she's going downhill, like all of these things. It's like she probably just woke up from a nap. Like it's not that deep. I think that it's like so extreme, the amount of pressure that is put on women to be perfect. It's not enough that they're perfect on stage and they're perfect in their interviews and all these things. They have to be perfect at all times, and it's just not possible. Like it's a human being, like they're a human being, and it's my Moroccan side more and more as I grow older, and I'm appreciating it more. Just because when you're younger, like kids don't really know what they're talking about when they're being like rude and like all these things. And so I don't blame super young kids that were making me feel bad for who I was, because I'm like, they're just trying to figure themselves out too. They're like 9.
They ain't even know.
But you know, that sticks with you when you're a kid and you hear these things and it's like, why do you talk like that? Why do you look like that? Why do you listen to that music? And when you hear people laughing at you and laughing at the food that you eat, all these things, saying it's gross. When you're a kid, you start to just feel like, should I be embarrassed by my culture? Should I be embarrassed by my background and all these things? And so it's very hard. But really as you grow older, you're just gonna be like, I do not care. Like, I don't care at all what you think. Not having that representation, you don't have that like confirmation that it's okay. Because like I didn't have anybody to look up to in the Western world singing pop music, and so I just want little kids to be like, I'm good the way that I am. Even
that's a really good point. Now that I think about it, like I guess Pokimane is like the streaming equivalent, literally the streaming equivalent of Faouzia, because they follow the same background and they both live in LA now. But I can't think of any like. She really is low key a pioneer for real. Granted, she has one of the most amazing voices in general, so you could call her a pioneer off that alone. But the fact that she also has the background attached to it, that also makes it really crazy. That's wild. I love that.
Even if they're not Moroccan, just like having somebody from a different ethnic background. I remember reading comments like at the very, very beginning of my career, and they're like, is she Middle Eastern? Like I hear it in the way that she sings even. And I'm singing pop music, just like fully English, fully pop, not singing any Arabic words, nothing like that. But people could it. I was just very tired of not only with myself, but seeing other women across the world, especially Middle Eastern women in some dark times, be silenced and be told to not act a certain way, speak a certain way, do this, do that. And so I wrote the song Puppet saying, I will not be your puppet. And I was born to dance, which means women are just like the coolest. I've seen so many amazing Moroccan women as teachers, doctors, artists, and everything in between. I think that in Morocco, you can do so much as a woman. I obviously think that there's not just in Morocco, but all across the world, there's still a lot more that we can do to support women and make sure that
Oh well, that was smooth. The music in between each cut actually grew on me. My only concern is that when I try to upload this VOD to YouTube, that they might block me because of it. But hopefully they don't, because I've been able to react to the music video just fine. So we'll see how that goes. But as always, we are greatly appreciative of everything that she does.